The International Operations Manual is on the HCB Cloud. By opening up this link here, the first thing you'll see is an Excel workbook. This is the way the information is organized. Table of contents show 5 major sections: import operations, compliance, policies of customs clearance operation, international references, and export operations outline. We will discuss each one of these sections and show you an example from each. Note below the tabs so you could go directly to one of these sections or one of the subsections, such as the transportation vendors there. The import operations section contains the customs clearance procedures, and you notice there are a number of documents that can be opened under that. Also customs law issues. Again, that's split up further into classification, valuation, IPR, liquidation, origin, etc. Traffic management, helpful documents that may be useful to an import or export operation, or a freight forwarder, or a customs broker. Types of customs entries, and then we have specialized and associated entries. One of the PowerPoint presentations that's in the valuation section, which is really appraisement, has to do with this. And we go into basic questions and hierarchy, transaction value, deductive value, computed value, definitions, and so on. The compliance section mostly has to do with government regulations. Notice we have audits and reviews, binding rulings, MOD Act, customs organization, reasonable care, record keeping, self-assessment, and security. Let's take a look at one of these, the import compliance strategy. This is actually a download from Customs and Border Protection's website. Good information. A lot of links. Goes on for a lengthy period of time here. Policies and procedures of a customs clearance or freight forwarding operation could be particularly helpful to someone who works in a customs brokerage office or an export office such as a freight forwarder. There are areas here, sub-areas if you want to call them that: accounting and handling money, operation procedures, and office standards. Let's take a look at one of these. The file arrangement for a customs clearance operation can be helpful in having an office organized as to the flow of the files in the office. And this gives some suggestions of how it could be organized. The export operations outline follows a book-like format. Notice Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3 is shipping the goods. Getting paid, Chapter 4, documents commonly used in export documentation is Chapter 5. Chapter 6 is the process summary, and then we have the transaction maker at the end here. Let's take a look at the export transaction maker, which is another Excel workbook that could be particularly useful to an export operation. Within this export transaction maker, you can see a number of tabs down below: file checklist, agent list, FCR, booking confirmation. Let's take a look at a couple of these. Let's see, for instance, a commercial invoice example is shown here. Or we could go back to the table of contents cover and we could look at a banking draft, for instance. This might be helpful in training new employees as to what each of these fields means. Another one that I think is useful is the container specs. If you're trying to decide whether a cargo can fit inside a closed container, these are the typical specs of the types of containers that are normally used in international trade. The last section is the international references. Here we have periodicals and books, participating government agencies, operations aids, transport, marketing, and international services. For instance, within the periodicals and books, you could bring up something like the videos that are available from Census for importing and exporting training videos. Very helpful and free information from the government. Or within the PGA library, if you want to find out more about FDA procedures, the cornerstone to this is the product code builder. Here's a deep link to FDA's site of how the product code is constructed. Within the operation aids, you might have an interest in trying to figure out how to convert to metric from English units. Here's a handy website that can do just that. In the transportation vendors section, it has links to various steamship lines, NVOCCs, air carriers. You might find something like this in the electronic shipping services section, useful online guide to ships. Within the marketing section, there's trade promotion, marketing references, export trading company information. Let's take a look at this foreign trade data, for instance. Here's a link to the Census site. Could be useful to people that are trying to get involved in trading to a particular country and want to know the statistics. International services covers translators, marine insurance, pre- and shipment inspection services, legalization, freight forwarding networks, etc. Take a look at one of the pre-shipment inspection services. Here's a link to their website. This is the sort of company that could be used for a pre-shipment inspection if they have offices or services available in the area where you're shipping from. As a practical matter, this manual can be used in-house, tailored to your company needs. This can provide a framework to start with, in which you can add your own in-house documents, deep internet links relevant to you, and save articles, other information that relates to the operation of your company. An operations manual of this sort can be very useful to present to government authorities in the event of an audit.